All right, so welcome back to the second channel, guys. It is me, 8744 Extra, and today we're joined by Teneditum, and we're going to be predicting the ultimate game, the Chaotic Revenge season. So, like I said, Teneditum, obviously, he's a former player. He actually won the first season, and I guess as a former player, as a former player, how does it feel to now be a co-host?
I
Give us
mean,
that perspective first.
I mean, not only am I a former player, I'm actually a former winner of the thing.
Yeah, former winners,
Um,
former winner.
so I do know how it feels to win this game, what it takes. And look, ultimately, for anyone that's new or whatever to the game or is playing the game when you watch it back or whatever, this game is solely a game and not to be taken personally, which was something that happened in the first edition of the game, I guess, of the ultimate game. But now with a, I would say, a better structured format and with players at least maybe for now knowing that things are going to be very very different with new twists and all to the game that knew that all the players will not see expected, and let the chaos and the revenge begin because some players are returning. There's some new players, so there's a lot of revenge arcs, but there's going to be a lot of chaos no matter what happens. And every single player would have to deal with it. Wherever twists and turns come their way, you have to deal with it. And as a former winner, you have to know when to make the moves, which could benefit you. But also, if you make the wrong move at the wrong time, you might be eliminated. So it's a very difficult social game. I would say lots of strategizing, creating alliances, breaking alliances. You have to accept that at the end of the day, if you want to win the ultimate game, you have to eliminate your teammates basically, or even your alliance members or whatever. And it's about taking risk, and you know, we'll see how this group of players compete in the ultimate game, chaotic revenge.
Yeah. So in this video, we're going to be kind of like predicting like who's going to make the merge, who's not going to make the merge. We're not going to predict exact placements because, to be quite frankly honest, that's very difficult to do, and I don't think we can really predict that. But we'll probably predict like the final four, maybe predict the winners and all that, maybe who wins the most challenges and stuff like that. So this is like a general thing. So I'm going to run the players individually and give me your quick thoughts on them, and just tell me whether you think they're going to make the merge or not. So the first player we got is Coco Bear. Now I believe this was a guy that was playing last season. So and I think he didn't make the merge last season. So I am assuming. I think this time around, he may be. I mean, he's a former player, so does that help him
Yeah.
in this case? Because I'm not really sure. This is a wild card to me.
Yeah, I feel like from what I remember of Coco Bear from the first season, because I did play with whichever players were there last year. Um, didn't really think too much about Coco Bear. I feel like maybe he was just caught in the fire at the wrong time, even without any sort of um, enemies or whatever. So I think he's entering this game with not really any enemies or whatever. But I feel like it could be second time unlucky for him, I believe. But it's tough to call. But at the moment, I would say not make the merge. I'm not sure about him at the moment. But I'll say not making the merge.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I also agree as well. Coco Bear is just. I don't know, man. It's hard to say, but
It's a wild card. I would say he's a wild card.
yeah. Next up we have is DKB. Now, believe it or not, you may be surprised in knowing this. He actually did compete in the previous camps before, but it was a different set of community, and he actually won one of the games seasons. So he hasn't competed in a long time though, so he kind of feels kind of new. So I'm not really sure to be honest, because obviously I don't think he's competed with any of these players before in the past, so he's kind of like a newbie personally, even though he isn't.
Yeah.
So um, I honestly I don't think he's gonna make the merge.
I mean, I feel like it depends on what sort of strategy. I'm not sure because obviously you might remember. Obviously, I won't. What sort of when he did win the game? Whenever that, how long ago that was? Was it? what type of game style did make him win the game? Basically, did he win with
Uh,
honesty, trust, integrity, or did he play like me with a lot of mistrust, breaking alliances, or whatever? What was his style of the game? Because
I've I
it
feel,
I think it depends on the style of play. I do think.
yeah, from what I remember, he didn't break any alliances. He was just kind of just there, the nice person, and I feel like I don't want to be mean or diminish his win, but I feel like he kind of just won because everyone else was pretty much out, so he kind of got to the final,
Yeah,
just on that sheer fact, and obviously that time I think we had like a challenge was the actual limit the at the time of the final. It wasn't a vote because I'm pretty sure if it was a vote, I don't think he would have won. I'm pretty sure it was a vote. So, um, like I said, he hasn't played such a long time, so it's really hard to say. So maybe he's changed a lot and everything, but I just don't think he's gonna make it. And by the way, guys, when we're making these predictions, guys, please don't get offended. We're
yeah,
not biased or whatsoever. We're just trying to make a good guess. You know, at the end of the day, this is just a guess. You know, like we don't have
yeah,
any agendas against people. You know, so
yeah. I
yeah.
mean,
So for me, I'm gonna say not make the merge. I don't think he's gonna
yeah,
make it.
I feel like it depends on how his social game is. You said, he's a type of player that doesn't really break alliances or whatever. He's pretty much a nice guy, you could say, and usually that can get you far. But I do think it really depends more on the social game, because even like, you know, even if I was in the first season, I was more. Oh, am I lagging? Even though I was a little bit more of a, you could say, evil player in the game. I still, managed to win the game and all that. But I feel like it really depends on how his social game works, not based with his teammates, but what alliances he could make. But I will probably say not make a merge, just because I'm not sure how he will make social alliances to get himself far in the game. So I'll say not make the merge.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we have here the next player. I think is Eli Bungo. Now, Eli Bungo is a player that obviously is plays the Pokemon tournament. Now, Pokemon tournament, this is very different, but this guy is he did pretty well in the Pokemon tournament. So, like I said, this one's kind of a interesting one. I'm going to say makes the merge. I think he's going to make the merge. I could
Mm.
confidently say
I mean,
so.
it would be funny if he's like one of the first 2 or 3 people out, but yeah, I think he does have the friendships and all that with other people and all that, and that can get you far in the game. And I do think that can be a big boost. Um, but I think it also feels like it depends on how he will play the game, whether it will be a good person type of game or a bad person type of game. Um,
That is true.
because I feel like it depends on how you play the game. Um,
Yeah,
this time
it's
around,
true.
when it's the thing is that the first season it was a little bit more quicker. Quick. This time around, it's a lot. You could think of it as a long slog, whereby you have to be nurturing your alliances, your whatever, any sort of allegiances you have. So I feel like it depends on how Eli Bongo and obviously every player nurtures or destroys their alliances. So because it is a longer-ish game, I feel like, and I think that can be a huge part of the game, whereby I think certain players will have to nurture alliances or even make unexpected alliances. So maybe you could see Eli Bongo doing something like that, like making a unexpected alliance with someone that not really expected, and who knows, maybe that could be an extra vote for him if he makes the final, because that's what I did with with Patrick last season. I made somewhat of a side alliance with Patrick. I basically brought him to the to the merge. Obviously, I made the final two. Patrick made the merge, made the jury, and in a way, probably helped with voting for me to the end, because I basically, in a way, I'm not slagging off Patrick wherever, but I did bring Patrick to as far as I can in the game. And I think Eli Bongo or any player, sometimes it's the unexpected side
Yeah, it's
alliance
unexpected.
that help you, especially if you make the merge.
Yeah. All right.
So
So
I will say merge.
okay, now my follow-up question is, do you think he makes the final four?
I have to look at the other players first, but at the moment he's a contender. I would say.
Actually, let's do this. Let's look at all the players and we'll decide merge or not merge, and then we'll decide to make the final four or not.
Yeah.
Let's do that. Yeah, yeah. Okay, next up it is Gigi. Gigi, this one. Now I feel like he's generally pretty active. I know him a lot for his music taste. And he's a big into Pokemon as well. And yeah, so he quite knows a good amount of people here, which obviously is a good thing. As Tenet I mentioned, the experience and being friends with others, not being completely unfamiliar. So I think that will probably be a good thing. That I think that'll probably have him be a good merge. I don't know. I don't know if he can make the. I feel like he's just an early merge person. I don't think
Yeah.
he's.
Something like that.
Yeah, merge
Yeah.
for me is Max.
Yeah. I feel like. I mean, if he can maneuver his way, even when if he does make the merge, how will he maneuver himself? Because sometimes you feel like you're part of an alliance, but also at the same time you have to realize what ranking you are in the alliance. Are you one of the best members of your alliance, whereby you're like first, second? You're going to be okay in the merge, or are you one of the bottom tier players in your own alliance in the merge? And I think that is something like GG or Eli Bongo, players that don't or haven't played this particular game would have maybe some trouble with. And I feel like maybe GG can make the merge, but at the same time, it wouldn't surprise me if he doesn't make the merge. Maybe because maybe his alliances or whatever might be like, look, if it's time to let him go, it might be time to let him go. And I feel like that's somewhere where Gigi might have to maneuver himself. Because that's what I did when I won. I saw myself as one of the bottom tier people in my alliance. The infamous one with Sliver and Dingus. I saw myself as the bottom of the tree, whereby I would be the first one to go if it was us in the final three or whatever. So have to make the move to
And
eliminate
yeah,
someone above you. And I feel like is someone like Eli Bongo or even GG going to do that? Maybe not in the first round or first 2-3 eliminations, but when you get a little bit more further into the game, I feel like merge, but also could also be a not merge GG. But we'll see.
yeah. Yeah, so remember, there's also the event that surprise eliminations happen where you expect a person to make the merge and
The
they
Coco Bear
eliminate
one
the.
was a surprise to me last time.
Yeah, so we may get something like that. We're also going to try to predict that as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, GG. Yeah, I think I'll be nice and say GG can make the merge, but it's a bit of a coin toss for me. I'm not confident with this one. This is going to go either way.
Yeah.
Next up is Interstellar. Now this one, this is going to be interesting. He's obviously very controversial on my main server. He's kind of got distaste from several of my people, but because of his controversial background, that might actually be a good thing because we know
Yeah.
you were controversial and you still won it.
Yeah.
So it may not be as bad as we make it out to be. So it's either a blessing or a curse, basically.
I feel like it's more of how you manage your threat level, which is something that which is basically my strategy in the season that I won last year, whereby if people are seeing me as a threat, how am I going to be able to lower my threat level? For someone like Interstellar, if he can manage his threat level, if he knows when to be a threat, whereby people will be like, you know what, we'll take Interstellar, the main threat, out later. And then when it's later, maybe manage your threat level a little bit lower, whereby you're not the target. So I feel like someone like Interstellar could be just like GG and any player, honestly, a coin toss, whether a merge or not make the merge. At the moment, I'm not. This is not anything bad on Interstellar, but I feel like he might not be able to manage his threat level. Whereby I feel like other players will just see him as a threat. Um, whether it's for personal or game related reasons, I feel like Interstellar will not make the merge. But I would love to see him go for into the game and seeing how his threat level management. I would say threat management does in the game if he does go for. But I'll say not
Okay,
make.
now this. Okay, I think this might be the first one we actually disagree. I'm gonna say he makes the merge, just because I feel like because he's it's just too obvious. Like I feel like he's gonna do well. Like I don't know why, but I have this feeling that he might
Yeah,
surprise people.
yeah.
But
I
like I said,
I feel like it
it's fine.
depends on how
It's fine
he
to go either way.
manages threat
Let's go
level.
either
I feel like because
way.
if
Yeah.
he doesn't manage it well, he's one of the first people gone. I feel like.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah,
but if he knows how to manage it, then great. He can
yeah,
definitely. Well,
yeah. He might be the antagonist of this season.
yeah,
Maybe. So
no
we'll see
problem.
though. We'll see. Moving on, we have next is Cruz. Now, this is a player that I'll be honest with you, I have no idea. This is the first time I've seen him, and shout out to Vor, by the way. Vor's actually the one that invited him, so I really have no idea. This is a very wild card one. This one, this one could surprise a lot of people because I think only Vor really knows him.
Yeah,
And this, and I have a feeling they're going to probably do an alliance.
yeah, probably. I mean, I'm not.
So,
I have to remember what if they're on the same team. I have to check.
let
Uh,
me check.
no, they're not.
They're no, they're not. They're not. Okay, this makes
So
things interesting.
yeah, I mean, it's interesting, but now it pushes someone like more Cruz to make some sort of little alliances because now he has it seems like as a pre-game alliance, you could say. How is he going to manage that alliance with if both of them go at least like the final, make it past the first couple of rounds? Because has insight from one team and Cruz has insight on the other on his team, basically. So
Oh,
having
that's huge.
that's basically what I think that's what I did with Patrick um, last season, whereby he was on another team and I was on one team that he wasn't on. So having that insight can help. It's whether someone like Cruz can actually spot that easily. Uh, but I feel like I'm not sure how active he will be, but I mean, just based on the knowledge he has with But I just feel like without in in his team, not alliance, but in his team, I feel like
He
that
might be
might
singled
be,
out.
yeah, he might be singled out. But if he can make an alliance within his team, and just even if just acting as like the oblivious one, like and all that. I'm not saying Close is a very bad player or oblivious, but like if he doesn't come off as a threat or and also not go off as a what do you call this, an easy target, like, oh, okay, he's the first one gone, who cares, that sort of thing. But I feel like at the moment I'll say not much, but it really depends on how he managed
Yeah, yeah.
his other alliances that is not with
I think he has to, in order for him to make the merge, he has to he can't just rely on Vor. He has to rely on other people. Like Vor alone is not
yeah,
going to be enough. So
yeah.
the thing is, I'm not sure. And to be honest with you, if I'm just judging from what I've seen so far, he doesn't seem that active. So that may be an early indication he may not do good. But like I said, though, we'll see because we've only had this camp for 2 days, 1.5 day, I suppose. So a lot can change, But yeah, we'll move to the next one. Next one we got here it is Liquid. Now, of course, Liquid is a player that played in the last season and did pretty decent. And let me actually check where he finished
He
last
made the
season.
merge with us.
Yeah, I remember.
But
I remember he made the merge, but I want to check what was exact rank. He got 5th. Okay.
oh, okay. I think was it okay. Yeah, I know why he didn't make it further than he did. But look, Liquid has the experience. Obviously active and all that. I feel like a bit of him from the game when I play with him, obviously, because I that's the only experience I have. But when I played with him, very good player. Um, I feel like just needed just that one extra move that might have actually helped him in the game. Um, because I feel like he is a definite. I'm not. I don't want to jinx it, but at the moment he looks like a solid merge because I feel like maybe he might actually learn from his mistake, whereby he wasn't in the majority within the actual alliance because we were an alliance of five, whereby it was me, Pookie, Ver, Liquid, and
FB7.
FB7, and
Yeah,
it was and within that five alliance in the merge, it was
there was another
me,
alliance.
her, and Pookie, and that was three against a two majority, which obviously got Liquid being. I think he was the first one because I think FB7 was the next one after Liquid that got eliminated. So I feel like if Liquid can learn from that sort of mistake, whereby you have to make you can call it as an onion alliance whereby you have one protection which is speaking from me, you have one alliance which is Ver and Pookie protecting me, and then the outer alliance which is the five-person alliance with two extra members, and then on the side I had Patrick, and that was what, six people, all of them including myself in the merge, and that was a good way to go far into the game. But I feel like Liquid, I would say he's an early contender as a winner pick because I feel like he might actually maybe have learned from last season, whereby if he could just make one move maybe a bit early, then maybe he would have beaten me or whatever. So I feel like maybe he'll learn from it, and I feel like he's a contender at the moment to win.
Yeah, Liquid's a good pick. Now, at the same time, actually, yeah, Liquid's a good pick. I was going to say something, but I'll save it for another person instead. Next up, we have a Sir T10S. Now, this guy, remember how we're saying villains, Interstellar? I feel like this one could be a villain.
Yeah,
Could be. Potential. Now, this one is a wild card, and I have no idea. And obviously, we have no idea. But I think this guy could be a potential villain. Just the way he's acting, the way he smiled, those gifts he posts.
yeah. I mean, look, I'm all for, like, if every single all 14 players or whatever are nice guys, it doesn't make for
It's too
good
boring.
drama
It's
and all that.
boring.
It's not chaos. I want chaos and all that. Obviously, in a game perspective, obviously, outside of that doesn't matter. But in the game, you need your antagonist. Like last season, when it was probably you could say the antagonists were me, Pookie, even Dingus at some point. So I feel like um, for someone like Sir TTS, if he can look, if he wants to play a nice guy game, that's fine with me, obviously, or fine with him. But if he does play the villain orc, you could say of the season, um, it's kind of why I feel like if you want to compare Interstellar and Sir T10S, I feel like Sir T10S might
Yeah, he's
know
better.
how to manage his threat level. If we were saying both of them are like the villain orc
Like
of
if I had to pick, if
players.
I had to pick, I think he's a strong. I think he's a strong. I think he has a stronger potential. But I will say this though, this could be something that could really be a caveat to him. He doesn't know. He's never played this before, so he's brand
Yeah,
new to this. So
yeah,
that
it's
could be
kind of
something
like
that
the
could
last
be
season. Yeah,
that could be something that could hurt against him. But he did.
yeah,
I think he got the gist of it, like what he
yeah.
saw on
I
YouTube.
mean, it's pretty simple, obviously, to
So
understand. And obviously, when twists and all happen, it'll be a little bit more difficult. But that's the chaos that comes with it.
yeah,
But
we're
this
not
is
going to
kind
reveal
of
the
why
twist. We're
I
not going to
said
reveal
with
the twist.
Interstellar non-merge. But I feel like Sir TTS, what I feel like, I mean, obviously we can update with all the merge and not merge, but I feel like he can
Yeah,
make. He's a contender to make the merge, and I feel like he can also build alliances and manage his threat level, probably a lot better than Interstellar. As for at least that's what I think, but who knows? Maybe it's the complete opposite. But I'll say Sir TTS merge at the moment is a good shout.
Do you think he's a good shot as a villain though? Because I feel like he could be a villain. I feel like
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like he could be. I'm not sure
yeah.
about this one though.
Yeah, I think if he knows, just like after if he can survive at least the first couple rounds, see how the game is, then I feel like he can be prepared whatever twist will come at him, and deal with it. I feel like so someone like Sir TTNS can I would say would do
Yeah,
better managing his threat level if he was playing a sort of villain orc compared to someone like
yeah,
a Interstellar or any other player. So I feel like
yeah. Because
Sir TTNS is a good newbie shout to go for.
yeah, I remember in Total Drama we had like the world tour. They had this like brand new guy, and everyone thought he was such a nice dude and everything. But turns out the guy was a villain. Turns out the guy was a villain. So I feel like maybe Sir Tina is gonna embody that, like where he seems like a nice person, but then when you actually get to know him, he's actually not a nice person at all. In the game
In
sense,
the game, in the game, in the game,
in the game
in the
sense, okay.
game.
Not in real life, okay. We're not talking real life, okay. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Something just tells me that. And, him, and as you mentioned, man, him being a newcomer, that also has a huge advantage.
Yeah.
No one knows you.
Yeah, at least your game style. Maybe I'm pretty sure people know him, but not
Yeah,
the
yeah,
game style
obviously.
he might play.
Yeah, not the game style, not the game style. Oh yeah, of course people know him. Like, yeah, that's obvious. But yeah, moving on. Next we have here it is Slither.
Oh,
Um, this is gonna be kind of awkward. I am trying to be objective with this one.
for me at least, not for you, but I'll let you go first on what your thoughts on
Okay,
Sliver.
so obviously he's a good friend of Dingus, and obviously, as we know, Dingus was one of the players that was probably the most. He didn't enjoy. He was probably one of your biggest haters. Let's put it this way. And I think Slither is probably the second biggest hater of yours.
I mean,
Probably.
he didn't vote for me to win when it was the jury because he did make it, but yeah.
So I feel like now the thing is, I feel like he's very emotional, and I'm not really sure. But this time around, we do have a lot of different people. We don't have Beast here. We don't have Ghost here anymore. We don't have you, of
This
course.
isn't there. I'm not playing, so it's
So
kind
me,
of a clean slate.
yeah, it's kind of a clean slate. So maybe that could also help him.
Yeah.
This is a difficult one. I'm not sure, man. I'm not
I
sure, man.
think I
This is a
think
hard
the
one.
big one is obviously if he makes an alliance or whatever, because obviously now it's not with Dingus, it's not with me, obviously, because I'm not playing. Um, what if someone in his alliance turns on him, like how I did against him? Will he manage to find a way to, I would say, not be, I wouldn't say as emotional, but find a way to manage the situation even if it works against him? Because I feel like that would be something that would be very very telling if something like that happens and it's, you could say, the I wouldn't say the same result, but if it's similar to the first season, then I don't see Sliver going for, I could see him as a not merge. But if he learns from that mistake, from him, not from me, obviously, because I won. But if he learns from that,
Yeah.
um, even if the same scenario happens to him, but if he can manage it in a better way in terms of like, okay, how about I'll put a lot more threat on him, but I build the alliances that will make me go far into the game. In if I was Sliver's position, so I feel like, do I think he learned from those mistakes from the first time around? Or even if I would love it if his story arc this season is if he's the one that destroys
Oh,
all.
Akame 180.
I
Oh,
would
Akame
love that.
180.
I would love that.
Spielberg. This
Um,
is like good movies. This is like a good movie plot.
yeah, like, but and if that move somehow, if he does a move like that and ends up winning the game, then I need an
You'll have,
apology from them. But I would say at the moment I'll say non-merge, just because I am not fully sure if he um, would make the corrections that he made the wrongs of last time. Yes, he made the merge last time, but he was like the first like boot or whatever.
yeah,
So
so you barely made it.
yeah, so I feel like he needs, if he doesn't really learn from that mistake the first time around, And I would say non-merge because I feel like there'll be more players that would probably just have a bit more of the strategic game ahead of him. But we'll see.
Yeah, and also he's not. I don't think he's that active, so that's also kind of another thing that kind of hinders on that. So we'll see though. He only comes like specific times during the day, so like that's not
Yeah.
that may not
I
be
mean
ideal.
that's kind of why we're doing the 24 hours for a challenge and 24 hours for voting because it for one it gives everyone a chance to
A fair
do
chance. No,
challenges and voting and all and it's a fair chance as well for everyone and also because it's a longer game in terms of 48 hours for even just one person to get eliminated it means that you are building more nurtured connections relationships with people whereby before it would just be like 2-3 days and it's like 7 people gone already this time around it's like one person every 2 days so you have to be nurturing or destroying alliances and that's what someone like Sliver I feel like might not be able to manage. I feel like even with
yeah,
the activity or inactivity he might have in this game.
yeah. Next up, we have a Smoth. Now, this is one. Okay, do I be controversial? Actually, no. I'm gonna say my controversial one later. There's another controversial one I think I'll save.
Oh, I know who you might be putting. Well, actually, I'm not sure. I'm thinking of the other two of two people. One
Okay,
of them, but
okay.
yeah,
I'm gonna have a hot take, but I was tempted to pick for this one for the hot take, but I'm gonna. You know what? I think I'm not gonna do a hot take here. Actually, do I? This is difficult. This is difficult.
I
Do I put
feel.
my hot
Oh,
take here?
yeah.
Uh, you know what? I'm gonna save it. I'm not gonna use for this person. So Smoth,
Yeah.
obviously, he made the Final Four last season. He's obviously one of the best competitors. He did generally well in the challenges,
Yeah.
and this one, I think he's gonna make the merge. I think we're both gonna agree with that. Now the question
Yeah. Does he
is he
win?
winner? Well, actually, we're gonna is he
Oh,
winner? Actually, we'll say that for the winner material.
Final four pick. Is he a final four
For
type of merge?
actually, let's say, but we're almost done. We're almost done. So let's not.
Yeah, I mean, for FP7, Smov, very good player when I played with him. Um, I can see him doing similar to what he did last time. Maybe just it's the same thing with Liquid. I would say. I think both of them. I feel like have learned from what got them eliminated and not in the final two. I feel like both of them can can learn from those mistakes, both Smurf and Liquid, because I feel like they're two of the same. And I feel like for Smurf, yeah, he's definitely a contender to win as well.
Yeah, I'm actually an idiot. I completely forgot to. I completely skipped Pookie for some reason on the alphabet. So, brick moment for me. But Pookie. Now this is one where obviously he made the final. He's the runner
I
up.
mean, he made it with me and all that.
So
I know.
you basically carried him. Like, let's be real.
Yeah, I mean, look, he was supposed to be eliminated pre-merge, which kind of tells you a lot of
Yeah.
that season. And the fact that he was almost pre-merge, like, had I not voted for, I believe it was Sliver, I'm not sure if I'm not mistaken, one of Dingus or Sliver, then Pookie would have been eliminated before the final two, or before even the merge. So
Yeah.
I feel like obviously now I'm not playing, so like I don't know if
He's on his own. He's on
yeah,
his
he's
own.
on his own. I'm sorry, I'm not taking credit. Look, for Pookie, this is kind of why I would be so upset if Pookie won last season over me if because we were the final two. Because I feel like I did more than him in the game.
Yeah, you basically carried.
Yeah, but look, sometimes being the well in strategic games, Pookie was a goat for me, whereby it's basically a winnable position if you bring someone like Pookie into the final two at that time. Depends on what type of game he plays this time around, because if he's going to be like the same as before, whereby I don't know, I feel like this is the controversial one. He gets non-merge. That'll be my pick.
Wow.
I think
Wow.
I'm not
Wow.
sure. I'm not
Wow.
sure if he um will play the like. it really depends. If he plays the role like he did last time around, but then when the merge happens, if he makes the merge, then I feel like he can do a lot better and actually win the game. But this time around, I feel like, not saying
And
because it's
remember,
because of me, but I feel like there's just more. I don't want to say quality players, but they're just. I feel like
uncertainty.
the players that I feel like can build on the previous game, or new players that I feel like can have a decent shout of
Oh
getting
yeah,
bits of the game. I'm not sure
oh
if
yeah. I
Pookie
think in
can
the
do that.
and the first season he actually got eliminated in the pre-merge. He got, I think it was like one of the, like something like he got eliminated by like a threat, and he was like out, like it was a shock elimination. He was surprised. So
Yeah,
maybe that might happen again potentially,
I
but we'll
mean
see.
he pre-merge final two. He's basically on this. I don't want to say it, but he's on the spectrum. He could be a pre-merge, like what, first one or first two people limit, or he could win. It'll be funny if he does win because it'll be a good arc for him. But I will say not merge. But I'm assuming you're not going with that for Pookie.
I was gonna be controversial, but this one I won't use my controversial pick. So, um, but this one is one I could see. I am totally on you. Like this one definitely could be. And by the way, we may do a reaction video to this. We might do a reaction video
Oh
to these
god, that'll
predictions.
be that'll be hilarious hearing what we say for each person. But
Oh my jeez.
looking forward to
Okay,
it.
and then last three people is Ace Champion. This is easy right now. Merge.
Yeah,
Um,
unfortunately, not really that active. The only way that the Ace champion makes the merge is if his team keeps on winning every single challenge. I feel like that's the only way.
wow,
That's the only
that's
way
very
he
fun.
can make the final, like the merge, basically. But
Yeah,
uh,
I mean, I basically agree with you. I basically agree with you. He's too
yeah,
inactive, man. That's the
yeah,
problem. Unless
yeah,
he suddenly gets more active, which I mean, it could happen. We're not saying it can't happen, but based on what we've seen, it's really unlikely.
yeah.
So, and then the cool guy. Now, cool guy. Remember, I said this is a third villain. I think this could be a third
Oh,
one. Potential. He's also not really he's kind of disliked in the main server as well. Kind of like Interstellar. Now I feel like Interstellar is probably disliked more than him, but he gets his fair share as well. Now I think it's more for banter to be fair, but still, I think he could be one that could be the antagonist, like antagonize people potentially.
yeah.
Um, so I think I'm gonna
I,
say
I would
merge.
love, I would love to say Sir TTNS and the cool guy are the main antagonists, or even Interstellar, and they all actually butt heads. Like
Oh,
imagine
and then imagine
one
they
antagonist
both make
and
the
one
final.
antagonist, and
They
they
make the
butt
final.
heads, or make
Yeah,
the
they make the final.
final. That would be amazing.
Oh,
But
oh, that's great. That's interesting because in Total Drama, we actually had one season where both antagonists made the final.
yeah,
That was
so
awesome.
I feel like maybe that could be something the cool guy and Sir TTNS can do. Whether they want to butt heads, because I feel like if you have two antagonists working together, like actual active antagonists. Not saying that Sir TTNS and the cool guy will be antagonists. They could be like the nicest players of the whole game. But the cool guy and Sir TTNS or whatever. But if you have like two antagonists playing together as an alliance, um, especially in the early game, that might be a big threat. But it would be, I feel like it would be a lot better for two antagonists to work together when the merge happens, because it's either whether they see each other as you're the threat, so I want you the bigger target, but also I'll like the other. It's like it works the same way. Oh, you're the biggest threat. No, I'm the biggest threat. No, you are the biggest threat. That sort of thing, and whereby you could see a scenario whereby both antagonists, if they both make the merge or whatever, could see themselves as, how about if we're the two main threats or targets, antagonists, how about we get rid
Work
of
together.
everyone below us, or whatever. So it depends
Yes.
on someone like the cool guy or Sir Titinas or any antagonist that comes out of this season could do. But yeah, I could see him making the merge. I feel like he's active as well. Can build alliances, I feel like. And yeah,
Okay.
we'll see how it goes with him.
So I have like 3 guesses. Maybe 2.5 because Interstellar, I'm not really sure. But my main, real big guess is Sertinia. I think he's gonna be the main one. So who's your antagonist for this season? If you had to make a guess?
I feel like I'll say Sir Titines. I feel like he might be able to maneuver his way around certain situations and all that. Whereas the cool guy, I mean, if it's one of the two, it's not going to matter really.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
um, I feel like Sir Titinas can at least maneuver his way through the game, whereas the cool guy, I feel like might have a mistake in him at certain points, not like an emotional outburst or whatever, but more like a game move that maybe he should have made differently or whatever, which caused him to go out at some point in the game.
And then
So
the
I'll say
final one.
as
And then
main
the final
antagonist.
one. And for me, this is gonna be a controversial one. I'm gonna say Vor does not make the merge. Um,
Cool.
I feel like we're gonna have a surprise person not make the merge, and I feel like it might be him because I'll be honest with you, I was narrowing it down between Pookie, FB7, and Vor. These were the 3 people I was narrowing it down to. And the reason why I went with Vor is just because I feel like he was kind of the coattails alliance you made, and he was just kind of like just there. And
Mm.
I just feel like it was really and because Pookie's already been through it before, I think Pookie knows what to expect, whereas Vor hasn't. That's kind of the reason why I gave Vor. That's why I think Vor is going to be the shock because I think Pookie's already been through it, so I think Pookie will learn from his mistakes. Whereas Vor, he hasn't experienced it before, so I think this time Vor is a non-merge. And honestly, it's a really hot take, and this is controversial. So I might get this one wrong, but I'm gonna be controversial and I'll say he doesn't make the merge.
I'll go the other way. I think he makes the merge. I feel like obviously whatever happens, it's fine, whatever. But I think it's the other way around. But yeah, I feel like
Sorry.
what could help Ver depends on how he plays it. Um, is one he has Cruz on the other team
Yeah, that's
that
true.
might be building an alliance. Depends on how far Cruz goes. Even if Cruz is an early elimination, at least he has some intel from the other team. And for Vor, I feel like yeah, maybe you could say he rode the coattails and all that, but he was a pretty good player for the most part in the in the season that I won.
Yeah,
Um,
that's true.
but I feel like, well, obviously, you know, in that final three, it was a challenge and not a vote that got him eliminated. But even then, I would have won the challenge. I won the challenge, final three. I would still eliminate Ver no matter what. I know Ver would vote for Pookie. So I feel like for Ver, I feel like he'll have just enough, but I feel like he might be a little bit more earlier of a merge rather than a final four type of merge. But I think he has
Yeah.
more. I feel like he has more enough in him than Pookie in terms of like what can be a shock. But if Ver goes out earlier than Cruz, that'll be hilarious as well.
Yeah. All right. So now the final segment here, guys. The final floor. So, I'm gonna go with Sir Titanus as my antagonist. I feel like as an antagonist, you're bound to go far. Do you agree with that?
It depends on how an antagonist plays it, because you can still have all the final four be all good people or good
Yeah, that's
uh,
true.
moral, whatever you want to say, players. But I feel like yeah,
Generally, one every. Sorry to interrupt. But generally, every season, at least in 12 of my notice, generally every season usually have the antagonist make the final four.
me,
So
from last season. But I
yeah,
feel like, ooh, I don't know. I feel like both the cool guy and Sir TTNS are similar. Um, you could say if you want to say for antagonist, but I feel like maybe Sir TTNS will maneuver his way. I think he might. I feel like he'll be the only newer player that makes it Final Four. I think the other three, I have to go. Well, you could say your other three, I guess, other ones.
all right then.
I'll go
Next
with
up,
Sir
I have is Liquid. I think Liquid will make the final four this time.
Yeah,
I think this time we'll do it.
I think he's a good pick uh, to do
Yeah,
better than his actual placement last time of fifth
yeah,
and all that. So I feel like he's
yeah.
one of
All right, then I'm gonna say FP7. I think FP7 makes the final four.
yeah. I also agree. Or Smurf basically. I feel like both Liquid and Smurf can definitely obviously
They'll
one
probably make
obviously can
alliance.
work on their alliance obviously, but if they can incorporate someone like a Sir TTNS and make that as the core final three or third three-person alliance, I think that can be a very strong alliance because Sir TTNS can learn from both of them, and Liquid and Smurf can somehow you can say carry Sir TTNS to the merge, build even stronger bonds and alliances. So yeah, I do think Liquid and Small are probably contenders at the moment.
Now, my last pick, I'll be honest with you, I don't really know. This one's been too hard. So who do you have in
Yeah.
mind? I'll let you go first.
Ooh, I mean, based on the ones I put as or I've of us put as merge, I think someone like GG. Why not? Um,
Ooh, okay, you're going for a wild card
like
one. Didn't expect that.
yeah, I mean, I have to pick a merge one because based on the other ones, it was between Eli Bungo or GG for that other spot. I feel like
Ooh, Eli
maybe
Bunga's a good shout. Eli Bunga's a good shout,
yeah, I
actually.
think one of those two because I feel like well we already said Liquid. I'm not saying Pookie makes merge. So TTS we said Smurf we said the cool guy maybe. And then Ver I said he's an early merge type of player. But I feel like someone like Gigi or Eli Bungo. But
I
I
feel like
feel like
Bunga's better.
well which I feel like well I feel like whichever one is more active in the game, I feel like can make it further than the other between Eli Bungo and Gigi. Whoever's more
Okay,
active, I feel like goes further or it makes
okay,
the final four.
you got to make the decision, man. One of them. You
I'll
got to
say
pick. No,
GG.
no. Okay,
GG,
TT.
good
Okay,
game. GG for a good game. I'll say GG.
all right. And then I'm gonna go Eli Bungo, and you're gonna go Gigi.
Yeah.
So who's gonna be the protagonist? I guess protagonist will be Small. Are you saying Small is the protagonist?
I feel like there's a protagonist because I think there's two. It's Smurf and Liquid. I think
Okay.
in an ideal world, I think they are the final two, Liquid and Smurf. I feel like in the
Ooh.
ideal world, they are the final two.
Okay.
But
I
do I
feel
think
like we're
that?
gonna get a.
I don't know. I just feel like
All
we
right.
actually might get the surprise of. I don't know, but actually, I feel like maybe someone like Sir TTS could actually go far.
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna say my finals gonna be Sir Tennis and Small. That's my final,
Yeah,
and I'm gonna
I
go Small.
think.
I'm gonna go Small. I'm gonna go Small to win.
Oh, for me, I think I feel like we get the ideal final two. Not saying that Sir TTS, Eli Bongo, Gigi, or any other player is not ideal final two, but my final two is the two that I eliminated in that five-person alliance, that being Liquid and Smurf. I think they're the final two, and it's just all about who
Wins that vote.
one is less hated, but also which one can make a good argument uh, to win the game. And since because you said Smurf, I might as well. Why not go different? I think this time Liquid learned from his mistake and just does something just a bit more Liquid. So I'm going with Liquid to win this time around the chaotic revenge. Liquid
All
getting
right.
his revenge.
I just realized whichever one wins this, according to our winners, we'll have got revenge from last season. So it's actually kind of
Yeah,
fitting.
yeah. Because obviously I'm not in
Jesus.
it, so
Yeah,
there will be
see,
a
it
new
was it.
winner regardless.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Most likely.
technically, Pookie could still win it. We could have like him win this time as he lost the final. That
Oh
could
yeah,
happen, but
yeah.
um, what I will say though, the reason why I see the friend versus friend final, it just seems too perfect for me. That's why I didn't go for that. I just feel like we're gonna get a
Yeah.
friend versus villain. Like that just feels more realistic to me. But like I said, it's hard to say, man. And who knows? We might get We may not get
Or
that.
who knows? Maybe they're going to be like, hey, let's beat enemies in this game.
Enemy versus enemy final would be amazing. That would be a perfect. That would be amazing. I want an enemy versus enemy final, but I feel like that's too far fetched. So that's why I'm not going for that one.
Yeah.
But I would love to see it though. Okay, so this is kind of a bonus prediction. We're gonna go for challenge wins. So this is just kind of fun. Who's gonna win the most challenges? In the merge phase, I'm gonna just go with Liquid. I think Liquid's gonna win the most merge challenges.
Yeah. If I remember, I think last season I was the one with the most challenge wins.
Yeah, I think you won the most challenges.
So I feel like if you win more challenges, you get at least some respect. If you do make the final 2 and you have more challenge wins and all that, and I feel like why not? I'll go with Sir TTNS to have more challenge wins. However, he might lose the more important ones, I feel like. So I'll go Sir TTNS to win the most individual challenges.
All right, so there you have it, man. That is the prediction thing was almost an hour. Jeez, wow. This is gonna. Well, we might do a reaction video to this, a reaction stream or something. We might do a video or stream. We'll see how things go. But we're definitely gonna look forward to this, and I look forward to seeing how this ages, man. And once again, shout out to my co-host Tenadina for helping me out with this. And how many do you expect to get right before we round off?
Oh, probably all of them wrong. Like all we know is going to be like the Ace Champion, Trows, Sliver, and I don't know, DKB in the final 4.
For me, I want to at least get 2 of the final 4 right. At least 2 of them.
Yeah, I'll say the same, I guess.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think the main one is the winner pick.
Yeah, that's the winner. That's obviously the big one.
That's the big one, obviously, I feel like. So, look, I think both of them, I feel like, well, they're actually my top 2, Smurf and Liquid. I'm just going with Liquid to be different. But also, I do think Liquid can do a little bit better than Smurf. But, yeah, I do think that overall, with this season, it's going to be a I don't want to call it a long slog because there will be twists and turns. There will be a lot of chaos, maybe some revenge for some players. Because, even though we're having this as a longer game because it's 48 hours for each person getting eliminated, there will be twists. There will be different parts of the game that will be that will challenge people, mostly strategically and socially and all that. And it will be a big game to see, and cannot wait to get every single prediction wrong. Why not?
Yeah, we'll see what happens. But anyways, hope you guys did enjoy this one, guys. Let us know what you guys think in the comments below, and we may do a reaction video to these predictions or reaction stream, depending on what you guys want. And I'm sure this will look fun to react to. So I hope you guys did enjoy. You guys like and subscribe, and peace out.
Yeah.